Добрый день.
Good afternoon. My name is Oleg Drozdov. I'm going to be a moderator of this specific event, which is entitled Transformation of the Regional Art Initiative in Modern Conditions. We are talking about the symposium of the modern art BIRUCHY, and we invited people who are directly involved in this project. I'm actually a participant in that project since 2012. To my right is Gennadiy Kozub, which is a commissioner and one of the founders of this project. Then Masha Khrushchak, independent curator, art critic. Nazar Bilyk, sculptor. He's been participating in the BIRUCHY project since 2013. Natalia Matsenko, art critic and curator of BIRUCHY 2013, like Masha Khrushchak, myself, and Oleg Tistol, artists who actually first time was involved in this project in 2012. Once again, welcome and good afternoon. We are going to start our briefing with a video, let's say teaser, trailer. Okay, if it doesn't work, let's see the next one. Maybe we can watch this in the end of our event. This is the same anyway. I may remind you that BIRUCHY is a symposium on contemporary modern art, which takes place or is held on the peninsula of the same name. We had the 17th year this year, or 16th, if we take the May one, etc. So please, if we take into account the number of the symposia in the year taken into account, then 11th. Okay, anyway, it's been in existence for a long time now, and it's been further developed, and I would like to talk today about the success stories, and maybe you can cite some of the figures. What has happened to symposium over this time? Since 2006, this symposium has been held, and we're talking about the symposium of the contemporary art BIRUCHY. The first one, actually, there were only 10 participants in that symposium. Over the decade of its existence, or the existence of this project, we expanded or increased the geography of our project and the number of the participants. And this year, we will take into consideration all the participants in our projects. We are talking about 63 artists. We are now working on the catalog. We are going to prepare the first version of that. And that's why I can give you a very precise figure, accurate figure. Over those 10 years, we have different attempts to popularize the contemporary modern art in Ukraine, in Europe, and generally speaking, in beyond the boundaries of Ukraine. On an annual basis, we publish catalog of our symposium, and we publish the BIRUCHY magazine. We have not been, we actually stopped publishing of that because of financial difficulties. We're going to back to financial issues later. And again, what we've done over this period of time, parallel to BIRUCHY, we also hold a symposium in other cities, including different exhibitions, etc., etc. And there were such things as fashionable, to say decentralization. We took care of the Warshawski project, and this year we launched a project in Poland, in the Warsaw in Poland, and we have plans for the future. Maybe Masha, maybe you can step in. We repeatedly discussed with you different integration processes taking place in the realm of art. And again, it should maybe focus attention on the issue of popularization of contemporary art. And of course, the BIRUCHY Symposium does a lot for that. But nevertheless, sometimes the mass media does not write about that or do not cover this story. So what's your opinion, Masha? What's the situation today? How we can improve the available situation? Well, the experience of holding BIRUCHY, which we have mass since the year 2012, we noticed such a trend that the key publications in the journals in Kyiv, they actually ignore the events taking place beyond the boundaries of the city. We are talking about the style book, the publication, despite the fact that and also the cultural headlines and many, or the, let's say, the stories in many publications have been curtailed. We are talking about the articles covering some kind of the movies, news, or something like that. So that's why we are talking a special aspect associated with this kind of art. We have to deal with that and to try to convey the message to the mass media that, for example, the BIRUCHY project is no less important event for the Ukrainian culture, like the Odessa International Cinema Festival, or the presence of Ukraine and some Venetian biennale, or in the absence of that, which actually would be a very serious gesture on our part. We actually, in some years of our history, we could not physically participate in such projects. I understand this is a difficult task, but we have to continue to work on that specific issue. But because the time will come when the media crisis will be over, and the journals will come to understand, and the news about the stars or whatever else are as important as the cultural events. I would like to suggest we should return to the year 2012, and I would like to ask your colleague Oleg Tistol. First, you participated in BIRUCHY project in 2012, and then several times more during the next years you participate in that. How they managed to attract you, to involve you in this BIRUCHY project, because it's very difficult to deal with you sometimes, or to tempt you to participate in some of such projects. The most important here, not to how to attract somebody, but what was going on later on and what conclusions we could make. Actually, I knew about the BIRUCHY project a long time before that, and Krasnoselsky actually brought me some catalogs, etc., etc., and then I made the acquaintance with Gennadiy. But it's not the point. The point is that since 2012, I started to understand more about that. When I attended this symposium, I came to understand that the best today, so to say, institution which exists for the formation, let's say, of certain contemporary life happenings. It corroborates, it proves that it could be only the private initiative or some kind of to be in opposition to some bureaucratic governmental institutions, well, this is my opinion, I don't know. I do not attend too many plenary symposium, and I do not attend those because very often, more often than not, it's not interesting to me. But so far in the Ukrainian art, I do not know any analog to the BIRUCHY project. If you're talking about the list of those curators and artists who were involved in this project, it turns out to be, in my opinion, again, that this is the only serious, or should I say, legitimate structure which can represent the contemporary Ukrainian art and actually establish communication with some European or the global art, generally speaking, which is proved by the fact by what we have today in Kiev. Well, whatever you are talking about, the Arsenal outlet, however many efforts they apply it anyway, they have to kind of steal about 5 hectares of land, but this symposium is kind of a platform. It represents a certain time. Actually, we are going to have the same situation until we understand ourselves. So only when we ourselves can gather together and do something ourselves, only then can we form the real story or history of Ukrainian art. Yes, my colleague mentioned our participation, non-participation on biennale, Venetian Biennale. Maybe we should do something, to shake, in the good sense of that word, the world. Maybe we are talking about some kind of intellectual gathering of the young artists and sculptures, what I noticed about based on the results. Actually, this all happens within the framework of the BIRUCHY project. So this is the nature of this phenomenon. Why I did not attend this kind of symposium in the last 3 years? Because of being modest, first of all. And again, this is a low-budget function, so I would not like to occupy a kind of VIP premises. Maybe I should leave the space for somebody else. And those artists who are as humble and modest as I, we could say about some kind of rotation, give room and space for the more dynamic development of the specific event. Actually, that's all I can say about this. At this time, presently, and they do not form some kind of ratings or some kind of market relations. They actually form realistic, some kind of artistic gathering, which unfortunately, in other nooks of Ukraine, specifically in the city of Kiev, they do not have specific site for real communication. During BIRUCHY, actually, I had that, and I would like to go there again. This exhausts my information. Of course, the beach and the sunlight is one of the very attractive sides of the BIRUCHY, and so that you mentioned that maybe 3 young artists can be invited who can be accommodated some wooden huts. Let's switch over to that topic. Natalia, since 2013, deals with the young participants of BIRUCHY and the Rodchenko School, and for the 3rd, 4th year in a row they're coming there. So, Natasha, maybe you can talk about your practice since the year 2013. Maybe you can tell us how you managed to attract so many people, what kind of projects you dealt with.
Thank you, Lola. My experience of participation in BIRUCHY project is like those artists whom we involved. For us, it was one of our first curator experience, and it became a starting platform, starting point for us in gaining interesting, unprecedented experience. I think this is unprecedented experience for not just Ukrainian cultural space, but also for European cultural space. How this was formulated by artists from other countries, from Italy, from the UK, which visited us. As Oleg Tistol once said, in BIRUCHY you have interesting, good opportunities for communication, much more productive and beneficial than in any exhibition space. Actually, BIRUCHY started the many creative collaborations with among artists. Actually, from me, involvement of young artists to BIRUCHY required not so much effort. The previous years of the project had gained some reputation among young artists. And when I decided to invite young artists, I discovered that they were very willing not to attend our residence on BIRUCHY, not because they wished to stay under the sun and near the sea, but also because they wanted to contribute to the art development. I think that the continuation of this project, some experimental artistic clubs were in Poland this year and near Berdansk in Ukraine. I think for me as curator, this proved to be a very interesting experience. This year practice appeared to be very unexpected, very unpredictable. Those young artists who attended BIRUCHY this year, they are not novices to this project, but for the first time we worked for a longer term, for 5 weeks, in the same big premises. We have a group of young artists. 2 of them graduated from the National Arts Academy in Kyiv. Then 1 of them graduated from the graphics department. And this year we found out that quite often artists do not know for what curators are needed. They do not know for what do they need curators, how to develop the idea, how to work on art project. So we had to overcome some period of argument, of non-understanding, and now they know how to join the contemporary art sector, about which they knew nothing because they graduated from the Academy of Arts. Nazar, you are the BIRUCHY participant on the one side, and you are you belong to the faculty of our National Academy of Arts on the other side. Do you train your students in this area? We try to educate them in the area of modern art, but when it comes to reality, they find it quite different. When I visited BIRUCHY back in 2013 for the first time, I came across the idea to tie my big sculptures with this space, and I got the same experience of learning that I had to pass. Let us try to establish Skype connection with Zhanna Kadyrova, and in the meanwhile, we may shift to the next issue. Let us try to understand how did BIRUCHY change during this period of time, the space, and territory. We can observe considerable transformations. And I confirm this my statement with the fact that artists had drawn much attention to this venue. A lot of materials about BIRUCHY lab was published. There were magazine articles.
Naturally, there was much more interest, and we were talking about the project proper. Speaking in principle, a lot of many other artists we receive from other countries. We have to talk about the side, the architecture. Naturally, there is some kind of construction project. There are many those who wish to get a piece of land there in BIRUCHY and to build their own house, etc. You know, one thing when you saw that area 10 years ago, a decade ago, there was kind of a semi-wild place. This actually caused some tension. But on the other hand, some other people appear, more people come there, and they ask the question, those who are interested in the art, speaking about some art projects or whatever else. And this year we actually constructed a kind of new exhibition site, rather interesting and nice. But our friend the architect will be in contact with him later. And so all those transformations, they cause some kind of artistic reflections. Of course, some of the sites or facilities which could be done, let's say, in that the previous spaces were difficult to do it now. So some approaches, new things appear, new decisions maybe or whatever else related to this specific subject. So black and white. Do you know? Can you say what did you notice when the people come in to construct something, whether they can become involved in this process? Can we say that those who until some time were just kind of observers, they joined and became the lovers of BIRUCHY? Yes, you're right. We observe that and know that, and moreover, I believe that very important is to take care, provide, let's say, implement some kind of cultural projects, not within Kyiv, because if you stay for a long time in BIRUCHY, coming back to Kyiv, you see absolutely different situation, cultural or whatever else. I'm talking about those people who are involved, compared to those different people, people who are different or indifferent, to that. And such project like BIRUCHY one have to be developed in different regions of Ukraine, not only in Kyiv. We're just talking about the statistics. If you take in consideration the composition of our parliament, maybe 80% or even more, they represent people from regions of Ukraine. So we would like to ensure some transformations and changes in this country. Perhaps we have to start to educate people, not in the city of Kyiv, but beyond its boundaries, in small towns, villages, other populated areas, in order to educate people beyond the boundaries of not only Kyiv, but also Ukraine. Maybe Zhanna Kadyrova already, we established the contact with her. Can we switch on the Skype connection? If not, okay. In this case, maybe Masha, Maria can continue this story. Let's continue there. Okay, Zhanna will be on the screen in 1 minute later. So I would like to come back to the year 2012 and maybe you can offer the comment. I mean, we can share your knowledge, what you have noticed in BIRUCHY. Maybe we can actually make some comparison you were there in 2012, and the next time you were there in May when we came there in order to communicate with the students of the Russian school, etc. What do you think? Has BIRUCHY changed or not? First of all, to start with, BIRUCHY actually acquired the publicity. People started to trace what was going on there, especially in the sphere of the artists and those who actually buy something and support Ukrainian artists. They started to talk about that, and we were talking about the format, kind of creative time, spending time in their own artistic circles with the discussion or obtaining some piece of art or not just discussion. So BIRUCHY started to have the kind of very turbulent, in good sense of that word, life. Some geniuses who actually started to ask us the permission to make their appearance at the BIRUCHY, in the BIRUCHY project. And during each year, those kind of gatherings where they start to be enriched by different projects, for example, holding BIRUCHY project beyond the boundaries of Ukraine and some other projects in the territory of the city of Kyiv, when the works which were actually created in BIRUCHY, they could be seen in different contexts on the territory of this city and not at the place where they were actually created. And there was a chance to get acquainted with the works of artists or the collectionists. Still are there in Ukraine, and new very interesting people appear in Ukraine, especially the young people, and they understand that the people who would like to support this country, they have to support the young art, because actually on this art depends the future history of this country. So I don't know, do we have a connection with Zhanna? Zhanna, can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you. Welcome you, all of us. We can even see you now. Actually, I just forgot the headphones. That's why I'm going to talk with you in this way. We can hear you. We actually had the time to discuss the importance of BIRUCHY, and that it's very important to expand the geography in this country and do something beyond the boundaries or beyond the limits of the city of Kyiv. But in your practice, you had such a big number of projects and symposia also, which were held in other countries. So you can say something. In addition to the political importance, decentralization of artistic processes, not only artistic but all other processes, I would like also to know that my experience as an artist, being involved or visiting geographical dissociated sites dissociated from the capital city, this is really, as associated, was a very interesting experience. And actually, you have an absolutely different impression, and actually you have to retune yourself, as an author. It can be compared to some kind of vacuum when you find yourself some kind of very unusual to your surroundings where there is no cultural events, and you have the time to concentrate on your ideas and your thoughts and to rethink some things, etc. In addition to that, meeting with some kind of the reality, a pure reality of the Ukrainian existence, so to say. When you live in the capital city, you have a different experience. You have your own life, and you think that everybody has a similar life. But again, when you leave the limits of Kyiv, you actually plunge into a different lifestyle, which is a good one, but absolutely different. And I, as an artist, I actually love to visit small towns. And then BIRUCHY is a separate story, I've been attending BIRUCHY for many years now. Maybe I can call myself a veteran of this movement, And I really love it because I have a chance to communicate with the artists we live close to each other when you live with your colleagues, and you can see the process, how this or another piece of art is being created. And during the afternoon presentations, when you attend those, you understand that never in your life you're going to start to Google the information, what is being done by the artists from Uzhgorod to Zaporozhye. But when you find yourself in kind of closed space, when you have a chance to visit different artistic studios and watch this kind of working procedure of those people, this bring all the people closer together, and those initiatives become very close and interesting to you. After BIRUCHY, we had a lot of more other projects which have been born among the residents of BIRUCHY. They invited myself and other artists too. This was, we actually sowed some seed, which then was growing and started to produce fruit. This is one of the aspects here. And one more thing, if we are talking about the expansion of geography, to me, this is also very important, how to put it, very important thing, because Ukraine is so huge and diverse. I don't know whether Gennadiy was talking about shower. This is absolutely different region, which differs a lot from the southern parts of Ukraine. We are talking about Vinnytsia region with their own habits and tradition, with their picturesque nooks and places. And this is a small town which used to be a Jewish community city. Almost all the Jews left by now, but there's kind of transformation which is over there, taking place there. When you can be plunged in that, inside of that, and see from inside some historical monuments and modern life, contemporary life, which is harmonically combined, and I believe this is very useful. Well, this is my personal idea. Maybe each artist has their own views. If we're talking about those travels or visits, but I personally, honestly speaking, I'm very much more interested in such projects than some exhibitions about nothing. When something is holding within white walls in the city of Kyiv, because within such projects as BIRUCHY, we can have, how should I put it? I can watch my own personal growth, new ideas come to my head, etc. And we have a time for a dialogue with oneself or yourself. Of course, there is inspiration coming from outside, because you see a lot of things happening around me. I would like to send you regards from the village of Silestro or whatever else, but this is a different reality. But anyway. So it seems to me, to an artist, it's very important for an artist. It's very important to change the picture, so to say, as often as possible, and stay with yourself as often as possible. Thank you, Zhanna. If we have another chance, we'll try to contact you after we talk with Oleg Drozdov. So if you can stay stay in touch, please do. Zhanna Kadyrova was participate in our discussion. So we were talking about Shargorod. Maybe we can reveal our cards or show our cards. Maybe you can share your ideas, and maybe you can remind the Shargorod as a residence for some time. Actually, it was initiated by the Russians in the small city of the same name, and within the boundaries of this town, there was monument to monument. It's copy. It seems to me there was a small-scale version of that in some of the exhibitions. Shargorod, okay.
As I mentioned, we have BIRUCHY Symposium project and some other sub-projects which we implement beyond the BIRUCHY project. And one of such sub-projects, there is Shargarad project. Back in 2006, we held some negotiations and decided to revive this sub-project in Shargarad. Unfortunately, the infrastructure in Shargarad is not in best condition. It is not sufficient for art residents, but now we work actively on the future residence project to be held in August this year. Now I would like to discuss the funding issues, the issue of funding. I think in this or that aspect, today's my interlocutors more or less faced the issue of funding. Some people look for grants, some people look for sponsorship, but it is obvious that our new economic reality not always allows to find enough money. So let us try to discuss this very aspect. Maybe you have your experience in this. How can we assist BIRUCHY in financial aspect? If you have any ideas about this, you're welcome. BIRUCHY is a fully private initiative. There are people who supported. These are businessmen, and by the way, geography of those people had changed considerably during the last 10 years. Mostly we are supported by people residing abroad. Due to understanding the importance of Ukraine for the whole world and for Europe. Also, we count for support from some other people, and of course, we try to pursue some grants. Thinking about future Shargarad residents, we submitted applications for grants to the U.S. Embassy. Now we have Marina here, who represents the United States, and jointly we had submitted this grant application. So we try to work in this direction. As far as I know, this year you had good cooperation with the British Council, also with your Italian partners. You had some cooperation. So how can you find your potential partners? Of course, the issue of money and of funding in general is very important for BIRUCHY, but what makes me optimistic, this is more strong international cooperation. As for Ukrainian side, of course, that's always, it always has been difficult, and Gena surprises me very much because each year he manages to find partners. Unlike oligarchs Pinchuk and Akhmetov, who are able just to allocate some money for this business and support some initiatives, Not being an oligarch, Gena cannot just give money for this project. But each time funding of BIRUCHY is we have to look for money. There are now some countries which showed an interest to BIRUCHY. We do not think that there will be some considerable financial support. This is more organizational support. They can pay for Italian residents, for trip of Italian residents who might attend the BIRUCHY. This might be attracting attention to BIRUCHY, raising the interest about it. Quite often, artists coming from the European Union, they keep saying that, of course, you need more serious financial support because this is very unique project. Of course, we do not expect for any Ukrainian funding while we are now more than just an artistic residence. It's like an institution, artistic institution, which tries to work in Ukraine. I think that as of now we have rather fruitful cooperation with Italy and the UK, and maybe this will bring some financial fruit. In Ukraine, there is some number of people, art dealers, who try to act as market actors, art market actors in Ukraine. So whether you can promote those works, just what Serhiy Bratkov is doing these years. He brings students, then they make some artworks, he sells it, and uses this money to bring new students to BIRUCHY. Of course, this might be the way to pursue, but we all understand that today Ukraine is in tough economic situation and in tough business situation. As of today, we cannot make any we cannot put any hopes on the art market because the process is not very vivid in the art market. While when we speak about younger artists working on the framework of BIRUCHY residence, we are speaking about performances, lab search. This is a very specific segment of art market which is not existent in Ukraine in general. Although maybe we should expect that someday in the future more possibilities might appear in cooperation between Ukraine and other countries. I would like to ask a question to Oleg Tistol. How do you think it is possible to involve more people to the symposium, or maybe you know how to approach to sponsors? I do not cooperate with any sponsors. This is, I think, Igor Abramovich, who is the main art dealer whom I know and who maintain ties with the sponsors. In theory, I understand that what's going on Biruchy and around Biruchy is quite new, and we try to develop some new financial realities. What I would like to prevent, I would like to prevent this to turn into some institution under the state auspice, like it used to be in the past artistic projects. Today, we should work together to find new financial forms. Each year, Biruchy as a financial project brings new stress and forces us to invent something. Of course, it's possible to think how to sell art pieces created on Biruchy. Maybe Biruchy should not be just a lab of contemporary art. It should maybe become a social example how the art could function as a business. Now, this is the moment when just some mechanism starts to appear, to evolve, and of course, we can try to survive with Italian or British grants. We may approach to the Ministry of Culture of Ukraine and get some grants. But the biggest problem is to prevent excessive influence of such sponsors. We should remain, Biruchy Lab will remain independent. We are at the stage when we are looking for our own way in art. We cannot just copy Western experience. They have 500 years of experience, while in Ukraine we should develop something viable and meaningful for this very country. And at the same time, we should preserve the clarity, the independence of art projects for the sake of preserving the spirit of true fellowship, the spirit of true plein air atmosphere. While we call it symposium because in Ukrainian practice, plein air is considered to be just a painting of pictures in exchange of food. That's why we invented the term symposium. So let us attract people who are able to bring together the economy or business machinery, who are able to ensure art communication and business communication. We cannot take the example of Poland. They are for 20 years, they had been living for 20 years with the state funds, with the sponsors, and now the state had stopped funding of Polish contemporary art because the right forces came to power, and we have this negative experience in front of us, and we have to survive with our own means. That is what I wished to say. We can see Oleg Drozdov on stream with us. Oleg.
А поговорите с нами, Олег, если вы слышите.
Провинциальной судьбой.
Олег, как слышно?
Это было как минимум трижды.
Что? А вы не можете там, ну, чтобы мне не нужно было говорить, вы не можете с ним поговорить там?
Алло, добрый вечер.
Добрый вечер, Олег.
Добрый вечер, студия. Добрый вечер всем, кого не вижу.
Good evening to everybody whom I can see. We had discussed many issues now. And we came to conclusion that we should attract more smart and professional people. Could you please present your experience and opinion about BIRUCHY? I attended BIRUCHY Symposium in May 2016 because my successful experience from 2015 was very positive. For me, it was interesting to see how the Soviet context can turn into something very attractive via artistic rethinking and due to the unique company of people who stayed around me, I was able to feel this unique atmosphere and benefit very much from it. Thus, we had like layers of the Soviet type and actual type contemporary arts and on the existent framework, we offered new space. Maybe this was a labyrinth of the first level, which conventionally could be could have one or two scenarios for further developed. You mean new exhibition space which was created for final exhibition. As far as I know, you created design for that space back in 2015, while you in 2016 you actually organized that space. You're right that in 2015 I just felt the atmosphere. And when I tried to having studied the situation, I tried to imagine how the artists occupy that infrastructure while the implemented project was just part of my new concept. We involve students to do this, tutors. So the result was rather positive. Speaking about the Biruchy infrastructure, we discussed this issue with Gena, and probably you noticed that the internal infrastructure of the island had considerably changed. So my question, may private construction influence the internal structure of Biruchy? As a person working with a space, you can imagine what can happen to the peninsula in the future. To some extent, new developments may cause horror, may negatively impress you. But I believe that everything depends on the perception, whether you take this as a challenge or whether you take it as an opportunity. If you wish to, if you try to oppose the process, they might be very beneficial for the art development. The project made by my colleagues when they had draw a plage, a beach, in a very avant-garde style, and having parked just one car on that parking lot. I think that this reflects the tiny nature, very delicate nature of the artistic atmosphere. The Soviet type Biruchy could become the object of protection and become the object. Thank you, Oleg. I think that we are approaching to the final stage of our discussion, and the first question is to you. What do you see the future of this project? How do you see the future of this project? I think that symposium itself had gained much strength, has flexed muscles, but at the same time, environmentally, ecologically, it is a rather delicate structure which can be easily destroyed. In order to prevent any damage to this space, it should prove its artistic meaning and underscore its artistic aspects. And in this case, this project may pursue this goal. Now the big country had preserved a very narrow strip of the seashore, and each meter of the seashore attracts huge attention from broad public at the mainland. I think that this is a symbol which is able to give the new life to this symposium and to develop this ecosystem. The ecosystem which comprises the community of people, the ties which exist between them. Oleg Drozdov is an architect, founder of the Architectural Bureau Drozdov and Partners, and now I would suggest that participants at this table discuss one by one the intentions and plans. Oleg, the floor is yours. Actually, I had expressed all my wishes already. I would like to observe what will go on. Of course, we all hope that BIRUCHY will continue its existence. And in all our discussions about BIRUCHY, we should understand that we have to prove our right for some piece of land, and from that land we would be able to start our cultural expansion of the contemporary art into Ukrainian culture. Natalia. I have nothing more but continue the positive intentions which was started before me. There was a lot of positive things about BIRUCHY, but we have to pay attention to the most important environmental things. I think that BIRUCHY could become the point of protection for the ecosystem and for the peninsula, and we should abstain from becoming purely commercial project and to work more on the organizational aspects of our project, because we expect the project to expand. We have to preserve that higher level which we had achieved. We should enlarge our team via good management and via good selection of members, and thus it will be more simple to resolve financial projects. Listening to my interlocutors, I started to dream about the sea, the summer sun, etc. Of course, we all love BIRUCHY. We like the atmosphere. We like the achievements. We like the products which we produce in BIRUCHY, both individual and collective. But I would like BIRUCHY to become a positive infection and to developed into new projects. Gena mentioned Shargarad today, and this is a good example how this symposium may develop as a phenomena And I would like to see more, so to say, infected cities like Shargarad. Masha, I would like to wish BIRUCHY to involve more young Ukrainian businessmen who are more conscientious young people who take Ukraine differently, who are the future of Ukraine. They are not just consumers of art projects. They could become partners in the art projects, and with cooperation with them, you can do something on the BIRUCHY project. And now I am pleased to give the floor to Gena, who will announce some events on the framework of BIRUCHY. I would like to thank to all BIRUCHY participants who attended it during all these years, to all those curators, friends, participants. As for the plans, of course, we will continue to have BIRUCHY Symposium twice a year, in May and in September. Today we are thinking about art school in Poland for students and for all interested people, and we have planned this school to be opened on January 12th. We also plan to have a residence in Shargarad in August. I hope that also we will continue our summer project, which was launched last year. Currently, we work on the catalog. We are modernizing our website. We are modernizing portfolios of our artists. There are many people who are ready to participate, to provide support, to assist us, and who stay in different sites on the globe. If there are any questions, you are welcome to ask the questions. We also can ask the questions to each other. Since there are no questions, we will finish. And thank you for your discussion. Ukrainian Crisis Media Center remains always open for announcements for any events. We'll be happy to see you. Thank you.
По-моему, все замечательно.